This is the 40 Days for Life podcast with your host, Sean Carney.
Hello, thank you for joining us today on the 40 Days for Life podcast. I'm Sean Carney, your host and president of 40 Days for Life. Welcome. We have an important topic today, and that is the 8 victories that we get from the resurrection. Happy Easter if you are listening to this the day that it comes out. It is Tuesday, April the 7th, so the day after Easter Monday. We hope you are having a wonderful, happy, and holy Easter season. It is a time to be a people of the resurrection and celebrate the great victory that our Lord conquered over death. Somebody who is still living with a great mindset of darkness and death is my co-host today, and that is Mr. Steve Garland.
No, I'm all happy. It's Easter. I'm going to eat everything, and baseball is back.
He's also great
I know
soda.
Jesus raised from the dead, but Milwaukee's on a 4-game win streak.
He's full of grape soda. I am not.
So the grape soda was flowing.
Flowing.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It hasn't stopped flowing.
So we have discussed in depth, as one should, the controversial topic of Thanksgiving food, which you're in the camp with my wife, Mary Lisa Carney, that nobody really likes Thanksgiving food. They just force it. I like it and I force it, and I don't believe in the weirdos who are like, no, man, we had chicken lao mein for Thanksgiving. I think they should be deported out of our country, because if you're an American, you have to eat turkey and all the casseroles, even if you don't like it. It's tradition, capital T, let's do it. Get out of our country if you don't like it. Even though you're probably like, I'd rather have tamales, which I do love tamales, but
Thanksgiving food is like Bruce Springsteen. People think they're supposed to like it, so they convince themselves that they like it, but nobody really likes it.
Wait, how did we get on Thanksgiving food? Where is this going?
I actually, off air, have a Bruce Springsteen question for you. I'll just ask it on air.
All right.
You're a music guy. So Bruce Springsteen, okay, Born in the USA is a great song, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. If you play that, I'm of the opinion that, oh man, he's kind of a wacko and a liberal and I don't really like it. Man, this song's awesome. So the song triumphs over your view of him.
Yeah, and Born to Run is great. Basically, maybe it's a pro-life thing. If the word born is in his song title, then I like it and I can't stand anything else.
Well, for instance, we're always looking for cool patriotic songs to play at our events. And I'm like, we need to play Born in the USA. And I thought, is that like asking for it? Or people going to be like, Springsteen supports abortion or whatever. Springsteen doesn't like Trump or whatever people get.
It was an
mad about.
anti-American Vietnam song, that thing. Kind of like CCR's Fortunate Son, right? Some boys born made to wave the flag.
Ooh, that red one. Yeah, that's just a great song.
I just don't care. It's the 4th of July.
Care.
I'm playing it.
I'm playing it.
We discussed before, the 4th of July playlist is the most important playlist of the year.
Also, maybe the Vietnam War didn't age very well, so people can kind of relate to that song a little more. Like, you're sending us off to war, but we don't believe in the war. What's your answer? Bruce Springsteen, you can play his music at pro-life events or not?
Like, just in general?
Is it worth the flack, or is the flack...
Are we talking specifically Born in the USA?
Yeah, that's one song.
I mean, I don't care. I'm not gonna be the guy that complains.
Do you think people would complain?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Okay, that was my...
I mean, you could. I think people will complain no matter what. I think you could go have some Christian artist and be like, well, they aren't really, the bass player isn't pro-life. That's what I think.
I don't know. We've played a lot of music at our events or our national gala, and people don't.
Okay.
God bless Texas.
Yeah, we have George, but...
What if you played the Toby Keith song?
No.
And they put a boot,
It would have to
in
be a
there?
radio version of that song.
That's my question. It's a great song.
You're
And
saying
Gen Z
should
loves the Toby Keith song.
Oh.
You better recognize when you see your glory flying. There's a lot of men in bed, so you can sleep at peace at night when we lay down our head.
After Team USA Hockey
My daddy
won the gold medal, my 18-year-old had that cranked up, and I joined him. Yeah.
Nice.
Hand over heart.
Yeah.
My best friend Chris did not like. He wasn't a country fan, so he comes at it with a discriminatory attitude. And that song, he's like, "That is so redneck," and and I was like, "You're a wuss. That song's awesome." I just wasn't having it.
My dad was anti that song for a good 20 years.
Right.
And then recently I heard it at his house. Like, I thought you hated the song. He's like, no, I was wrong.
That song aged
Dad.
well.
Yeah.
And nobody thought it would.
No.
It came out and they're like, "I'm against this because I know in 10 years y'all will all be against it and I'm going to be first." It was like the opposite. It was like everybody loves it. No, it's great.
It's a great week of the year. Jesus is back. Toby Keith is back.
I gotta go back to my question. Does the Easter food fall into the Thanksgiving tradition
That's
for
the
you?
connection,
Is
okay.
that the connection? So, you have to eat these Thanksgiving items.
You want to do a checklist here?
Yeah.
Run through them?
Do you have that list for Easter? I don't believe that for Easter. I believe Easter is a little bit universal. I respect how people celebrate.
So
Thanksgiving.
what's the big thing that people eat for? A lot of times it's Easter ham,
It's
right?
ham. It's
Yeah.
ham, deviled eggs, broccoli salad. Is that what it's called? Yeah, the cold salad, the broccoli with the
Broccoli
raisins.
salad.
It's like a billion calories
That's
a
amazing.
bite, and it's
I love
amazing. It's all fat and mayonnaise and raisins and nuts, and there's broccoli in there. You get your fiber, and it's a vegetable. That's good to me. That's a must. The weird marshmallow thing. I know people do it. The
It
kids
has
like
a
it.
name that I have never heard that somebody said the name of the
It's
other
the
day. I was like,
marshmallow
I've never
stuff.
heard that called that before.
It's marshmallow stuff. It's probably somebody trying to be sophisticated. Like, "Oh, you mean goal?" It's some French thing. You're like, "No, it's the marshmallow stuff. That's what it is."
I don't eat any of those things on Easter.
Wow, what do
I knew
eat?
you were going to say that. You're not good at being from Wisconsin.
True, and I'm going to take that as a compliment in this regard.
No, I'm calling you arrogant and a
Oh.
yeti. Yeah.
Yeah. Not bad.
You're also like, yeah, I'm good with that too.
Not bad for a $19 bottle of wine.
Yeah. So what are you gonna have on Easter?
We have on Easter leg of lamb that I roast.
Dang it.
lamb.
Okay, I'm jealous.
And then I'll make usually a pasta and some sort of sauce that I love. We've done this is
awesome.
I'm almost embarrassed to admit it because it's a very heavy meal. If you can't go heavy on Easter, when can you? I make a bolognese that I'll slow simmer for like 10 hours.
Mercy.
There's
This is awesome.
beef and pork and pancetta, and then you braise everything in wine and in milk and then in the tomatoes. So it takes you forever, but it's chef's kiss.
Man, I feel like white trash right now. I'm sitting here going, "We're having ham and broccoli mayonnaise casserole." Yeah, so, okay, that's impressive.
So we do that. There'll be a salad because you got to have something that is plant-based.
Yeah, like, make the plate look nice.
Laura makes a couple of cheesecakes, and I cap the day by opening a bottle of port. Every Christmas and every Easter, we open a bottle of port.
All right.
That just destroyed. Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Enjoy your marshmallow stuff, though.
Friggin' redneck. Here's the thing, though, is we can't do that because of the crowd size.
Sure,
So
yeah.
that's my cop-out. Even if Mary Lisa and Sean, as a married couple entity, would eat lamb all the time. Nobody else on her side of the family, I'll throw them under the bus, they don't like lamb.
Oh, that's
I know.
sad. That's tragic.
It is. So we don't want to be the people that host and cook the meat that no one likes. When we lived in Virginia, we had no family up for Easter. We had a few priests over, and we made lamb. She
Okay.
made lamb for Easter. It was awesome. So that would be our go-to. It can't be ham is the most logical because feed 1 million people and all that. So
Okay, have you ever heard it called ambrosia salad?
no, that's
See,
made up.
I
by
never heard
some
that either.
Hippie San Francisco.
Believe it or not, it was from a Southerner. So I thought maybe I'm not as Southern as I thought I was.
Okay, well then I like it if it's from the South. Okay. That's pretty good. One year we did do beef tenderloin.
Yeah.
That was legit.
Last year we did a leg of lamb and a beef tenderloin. It was awesome.
Beef tenderloin sounds amazing.
We got a farm-raised lamb. Our friends raised a lamb. I named it Greg because I wanted to think that what I was eating had a name. And then it was a Greg of lamb.
Greg.
Let me go back on something because the lamb, the business with the wine sauce and then the side pasta. This is a very awesome, like I wanted red wine whenever you were describing all this. What's the red wine situation? Just whatever?
There's not one that's like our standard.
But you're not drinking the port with all this.
No, that comes out with the cheesecake.
Yeah, that comes with the cheesecake.
Yeah.
But you're having red wine with this meal.
Oh, yes.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's really. Are you going to send a photo of this? Do you have a previous photo from when you've made this before?
Yeah, I think I could make that happen.
I've put my fried turkey on the podcast internet world.
Yeah.
Changed lives.
I've got a great photo. I think it was the COVID year where now I'll make a boneless leg of lamb because it's just a little bit easier to control uniformity of heat. But
Really?
It's fun to do one with a bone. And I got out my drill and I drilled right through that bone.
Oh my God.
And then I hang it in my smoker and then you kind of hold it up like a trophy. It was great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. Wow. I want to see a picture of this. This sounds really awesome.
I don't want to brag, but it's pretty good.
I don't want to brag, but it's really good. I think we have corn casserole too. We have mashed potatoes. We have great rolls. I like the food. I love what we do. But if we didn't host a lot of people, we would definitely be doing lamb and all that. I know a lot of people that make lamb for Holy Thursday, sort of a whole Passover thing.
Sure.
But you're kind of getting in the passion, and he's arrested. Holy Thursday is, to me, always kind of an odd night.
A little too much luxury to me.
Yeah, it just has a
Thursday.
it has a weird feeling. But I understand people that do it because the reason Holy Thursday is kind of a messed up holiday or day is because it starts awesome and doesn't end well.
Yeah.
All of Good Friday is bad, right? Holy Saturday, and then you get into Easter. But Holy Thursday is great. Holy Week is great. I mean, we all think it's going to work out, right? Only he knows what's coming. And then Holy Thursday happens, you get the Last Supper. It's amazing. And then it starts to go south.
We've got...
You're sitting there with your cheesecake and your pork going, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
We've got, we'll call him extended family. I don't want to give this guy's identity away. But it's great because his immediate family has explained to us how as long as this guy has been her dad, every Good Friday he goes to bed at 8 p.m. And everyone knows it's just because he's hungry and bored.
Yeah.
But he just says, no, I'm just really tired every
That's
year.
great. That's really great. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I mean, it's probably a good thing to do. Just be like, I'm done. I'm irritable. It's all over. Okay. Here we go. 8 things that the resurrection won for us. Number 1, probably not the most important, hope.
Yeah, I think
It's where we left off last week.
we can overlook how revolutionary bringing hope into the world is. And usually I talk about this on our Christmas episode. We get into Chesterton's The Everlasting Man, but he kind of talks about how the pagans didn't have hope. He's got this great line where he says, the Roman Empire was recognized as the highest achievement of the human race, but a dreadful secret seemed to be written across those mighty works of marble and stone. Man could do no more. There was nothing left that could conquer Rome, but there was also nothing left that could improve it. It was the best thing that was going to the bad. The peoples had pooled their resources, and still there was not enough. The wave of the world had risen to its highest, seeming to touch the stars, but the wave was already stooping, for it was only the wave of the world. There was no God. If there had been a God, surely this was the very moment when he would have moved and saved the world.
It's a great quote. And a great book that we highly recommend, The Everlasting Man. Mainly famous not only for being a great book, but also being the final straw for the conversion of C.S. Lewis. So, worth our reading. I think we forget, too, is the revolutionary part of it is when you have a caste system or you have these different types of governments, there's really no hope.
You're born condemned in the caste system.
You really are. And as much as we're not going to make this what the answer to this is capitalism. But Yeah, buy Tesla low, you'll be happy. But it is one of those where you actually can, in the United States of America, the whole phrase of like, I won the lottery, I was born in America, has a lot of truth to it. And if you ask people who come here, and of course everybody wants to come here for that reason, you really can be 14 years old and work in a little sausage factory and then create Oscar Mayer, which is what he did. And that's just phenomenal. And you're not doing that in most countries.
But even then, it gets back to the Chesterton quote, you're still going to die and decay in the ground. And that's why we see entire philosophies and even religions have been developed to deal with this hopelessness. You've got Stoicism, you've got Buddhism. I mean, Buddhism, to me, I always think the concept of Buddhist nirvana sounds a lot like despair in the Christian world. Like, okay, you're just going to numb yourself to desire. You're going to kill off all desire. We've got just the opposite. Like the concept of heaven is that your desire is
fulfilled.
It's ever burning, never extinguished, and satisfied without ever being exhausted type of thing.
Well, and that's the Buddhism is just completely internal and self-driven. There's nothing outside of you that calls you to something higher. It's you want to empty yourself not for the sake of another, but for the sake of self. So that you have no desire, and no desire, no responsibility, no worries equals nirvana, equals ultimate peace. And it's probably the only thing similar to it is like the first few moments when somebody finds out they win the lottery and they're like, I'm just not going to worry about the gas bill anymore. And actually, I don't care that my uncle hates me and I live in peace now. And that lasts about 5 minutes.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata, yeah. And but it's not something outside of you demanding, dare I say, for you to be loyal and faithful and good and self-sacrificing. And that's why I think Buddhism is popular, because it focuses on yourself. This is why Hollywood loves it. It's why a lot of people love it. It doesn't challenge you. It's focused on yourself and your inner peace. And, but like all Eastern religions, it's wrong and it's misguided.
Also, are any of the Hollywood stars who claim to be doing Buddhism actually doing it?
No, Buddhism for a lot of Americans is the vegetarian who eats fish and chicken.
Yeah.
It's dabbling.
Because you're getting rid of all desire, and then they're doing like the Planned Parenthood fundraiser so they can have their access to whatever, and it just doesn't make sense to me. If you were truly numbing yourself to all desire, you wouldn't be going to Planned Parenthood.
Well, it's why they ripped off monasticism. Because true nirvana, you would really have to be stripped away of everything and eat rice and bread and live in a monastery and look at plants all day and all of these things. But they're unlike true monasticism in the Catholic tradition. That's all for the sake of yourself and your own inner peace. It's not channeled towards the worship of God. And that's what's beautiful in The Imitation of Christ by Thomas Kempis, because he says people don't understand monasticism. They think that it's one big, long, lazy vacation where you're hanging around looking at the stars thinking, isn't that beautiful? God made that. And it's very challenging. They're self-sufficient. They all have to work. It's work, prayer, study, and recreation is laid out in the Rule of St. Benedict. And it's real work. They have their own cows. They have their own gardens. They, have their own farms. And by the way, they have to pray 7 times a day. And traditionally, the first time before the sun comes up at either 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And they're chanting the Psalms. So morning prayer takes 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're doing that 7 times a day. That's all to praise and honor God. It's not for your own inner peace. You may feel peace sometimes. You may feel anger sometimes. You may be tired. You may be rested. You may be ticked off at your fellow monk or whatever. But it's not about you. It's to praise God, and you have to make it work. And I think Hollywood kind of dabbles in the nice images of Buddhist monks sitting on cliffs and looking out at the ocean and all of that. And
it's just different. You get attention for it. To me, it's kind of like the...
I don't think that that's fair.
No?
No, because not all of them... I think that Buddhism, if we're diving into this, in America represents religion without religious commitment.
Okay.
It's trying to get it. It's checking the box of religion without any challenges to your current life.
Sure.
There's no therefore. If you're a Buddhist, you could probably rationalize being an abortionist or cheating on your wife or cheating on your taxes.
This is why I don't think they're true Buddhists, because maybe I'm oversimplifying the concept of Buddhism, but it's supposed to challenge you, right? Like these guys that are setting themselves on fire in protest of the Vietnam War, or the guys who are hunger strike. Like it seems like the actual Buddhist monks are actually involving a lot of self-discipline and self-denial that I don't see in Hollywood.
Well, I am not an expert, but from what I've seen or read, real Buddhists don't like those guys.
Oh, okay.
They're like the Islamic terrorists, because you're disturbing nirvana and peace by getting caught up in these worldly conflicts and setting yourself on fire.
Okay.
Buddhists aren't activists at all. They're very passive. And so, unlike Hindus will go to war, but the Buddhists, that's not their thing. So yeah, I know that's like the one guy that lit himself on fire. He doesn't really speak for the Buddhists.
I realize here I'm operating at a very surface level. Like I'm not an expert in Buddhism. I'm not claiming to be, but I do believe that this concept of nirvana is sort of the antithesis of that holy desire that we're called to purify as Christians, and that ultimately does have hope.
Absolutely. Yes.
I don't want my ignorance to stand in the way of that point.
Right.
I would say even we're not just picking on Eastern religions and pagan religions.
Sounds like we are.
Yeah, even the Jewish understanding of life was in many ways tinged with a certain pessimism. The Ecclesiastes, vanity of vanities, all things are vanity. What profit have we from all the toil which we toil at under the sun? All things are wearisome, too wearisome for words. The eye is not satisfied by hearing. The eye is not satisfied by seeing, nor the ear enough of hearing. This is not hopeful things.
My favorite, I believe it's Psalm 90, where life passes so quickly, we only live 70 years or 80 for those that are strong, and most of those are spent in emptiness and pain.
Yes.
Love it. That's great. This is why we love the Jews, though, because this is it has a negative tone, but it's built on a relationship with God that has been a relationship of suffering.
Yes.
This is why give me an Orthodox Jew, obviously, any day over a Buddhist, because you can work with them. They get it. You don't have inner peace. You're miserable. And so am I, because of A, B, and C. That's why Jews are such great comedians, because they understand the true nature of suffering, and they know that this too shall pass, and you've got to kind of keep going.
And as this is written, they're not wrong. Christ had not come yet.
Right. No, 100%.
That's why the first of the 8 things that he has won for us in the resurrection is hope.
Yes, and salvation for the Jews. Mm-hmm. I mean, on a very practical level of what he was doing. We always talk about Jews not being saved, but a lot of Jews converted.
Right.
A lot of Jews followed Jesus. The Jewish world significantly shrank.
Starting with the apostles and Paul.
Absolutely. I mean, but the Jewish population in the Roman Empire significantly shrank a few hundred years after the resurrection. So, we just think none of the Jews believed. It's not true at all. Another victory, Bacon.
I feel judged.
Not Francis. He's bad. Francis Bacon. We got to get to him later in the year. He was a bad guy. We don't like him. But Bacon, actually.
Yeah, you couldn't have that till Jesus.
You don't stop there. And then I notice your theme. You're trying to cram bacon, brats, pulled pork, so you get all the pigs out of the way. Italian sausage, pork chops, ribs. Then you realize there's other creatures on earth that we eat regularly. Shrimp, lobster, crab, oysters. Here's the amazing thing. Very few places in the world have all of these on a menu.
I would think if they did have all of them, you wouldn't want to go to that
there.
restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I tell you who maybe. Well, Papado flirts with it, but they don't have enough. They don't have any pork. They have steak.
They'll have sausage.
They have sausage. They have boudin, which is amazing. And they definitely, but the shrimp, lobster, crab, oysters, they have all that. You know what has a lot of this is papacitos.
I thought you were going to say
in Mexican form.
Buc-ee's.
And you know what they toss in there is quail.
Yeah.
Bacon wrapped quail. Okay, so
Heather's shaking her head at us like it hasn't been a long Lent.
Yeah.
it's because we know Heather's psychosis, which is she don't like Easter.
I don't like seafood.
You don't like Easter.
I love Easter.
We just made you say that. To
You like pork, right?
I like pork.
Yeah.
I like pulled pork. Pulled pork.
I see, because I'm from Tyler. I now live in Houston, and I really appreciate living next to the Gulf because of I love all the seafood. It's awesome. And you grew up in Houston, and you just don't meet that many Houstonians that are like, I don't like seafood.
Well,
It's usually our pride and joy.
it makes me laugh when people say, "How do you live in Houston?" You don't. I'm like, Tex-Mex, barbecue,
and Mexican food everywhere. There's plenty of
That's how-
food.
Yeah.
But the Gulf oysters, which I will die defending, they are the best.
Those are sea boogers.
East Coast oysters. I think I see it. I don't know. I slurped it. It's gone. I don't know. I barely saw it. A Gulf oyster, you could choke on it. I mean, they're massive. They're good. I am not a big West Coast or East Coast oyster guy, for those of you who participate in 4 Days for Life in New England. I love your chowder, but the oysters are tiny and really underestimated thing. If you go to Houston, get the Gulf oysters. They're massive. I've seen people try to cut them with a fork, which should be illegal, with oysters on the half shell. Why is this part of the Resurrection podcast? Oh, that which enters the body is not what defiles us. So we are now free from dietary laws.
Thank
This
God.
is one for us. But see, I'm
I would tell you what Jesus did. He gave us boudin.
I'm very surprised here. I thought that you would be fully on board with this as one of our items here.
I am fully on board.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about anything else.
Fair.
We put Tabasco sauce on oysters. Why? Because on Sunday, the tomb was empty. What?
But just as you said about the iconic scene about baby Jesus in Talladega Nights,
Talladega Nights.
the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, nothing that we just said was wrong.
Nothing that we said was wrong. No. Oh my gosh. Okay. Another victory that we have: science, universities, and healthcare.
If you're into those things.
Yeah.
How did you're doing the thing, and this messes with people. I agree with what you're doing.
Oh, good.
All great. Not all. That's not fair, because of Isaac Newton. But many scientific breakthroughs came from religious.
Yes, I am a triumphalist. This is my approach to my faith that Top Gun 2 is to our patriotism.
Okay.
USA, USA. This is what I'm doing here.
We own it. We
Yeah.
own it. I got you.
Love it or leave it. And but there is a basis for it, because unlike many religions, Christians believe that God created the world with order, and that means reliability, and that paves the way for the scientific method to be able to assess truth, to know God through his creation. And that's why we saw the sciences explode in the wake of the spread of Christianity.
I agree with you. We also just tested things. Gregor Mendel was a monk.
Yeah, because he believed that it would be reliable. If you just
Right.
think well, today Zeus is in a bad mood, so the experiment could turn out different than when Zeus is in a good mood.
Right.
You don't bother with the scientific method.
Where does Dom Perignon fit into that? Because he was a monk and he invented champagne, or the best champagne.
Yeah, it should go on some sort of Mount Rushmore.
Some sort of Mount Rushmore. I don't really. Champagne's okay, but I'm not a big champagne guy. But Dom Perignon is universally considered the greatest champagne, and so he ran out, as legend has it, into the fields where his fellow monks were working, and he said, "Brothers, I have created heaven on earth," which I think is on the bottle.
Have you ever read Brideshead Revisited?
No, I went 100 pages in. I couldn't do it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not you, it's me. I know
Okay.
that that's universally, everybody loves that book. I couldn't do it.
There's a great line where the main character's cousin comes. He's a student at Oxford, and he comes and he's like, "Hey, you've fallen with the wrong crowd. You're partying too much. You're a bad person, and you're drinking too much." And his response is, "I like the bad crowd I've fallen in with. By the way, I usually have a drink about this time. Would you like a glass of champagne?"
Oh, that's funny. I didn't make it to that part. Oh gosh. I think this is true. Of the breakthrough of the sciences and so many great academic revelations that came from Christianity.
Yeah, and academic, that leads us from science into the university, and the university is really a product of the early church, because the same approach that led us to investigate creation resulted in the establishment of the university system. We've got a great quote here from historian Lowry Daly, who said, "The church was the only institution in Europe that showed consistent interest in preservation and cultivation of knowledge." Which is why I think many people at least, are surprised to hear that all of the woke institutions academically that we have now, the Yales, the Harvards, they were all founded as Christian universities.
They were. And I mean, this next one, but we definitely see this as true. Dr. Gary Ferngren said, "The hospital was, in origin and conception, a distinctively Christian institution rooted in Christian concepts of charity and philanthropy. There were no pre-Christian institutions in the ancient world that served the purpose that Christian hospitals were created to serve." And that is pretty much true today. Of most hospitals are Christian, Catholic, or Jewish.
At least began that way. This is fascinating. I did some research for this just to learn more, make sure I was accurate in my understanding of it. And I don't know if you've ever read Mike Aquilina. He's a great, just a treasure.
Yes, yeah.
And he makes a point. He kind of traced out the history of this in an article for Angelus News. And he said, if you look at the early days of the church, a lot of Christians were doctors. Why is that? Because Christ was a healer, and so they wanted to kind of follow Christ's example of healing. And the early Christian doctors were known oftentimes more for what they wouldn't do than for what they did do. So they were known for they wouldn't do abortion, euthanasia, infanticide, the castration of eunuchs. I wonder if we're going to start seeing that come back.
Yeah.
Contraception. And then they were known for what they would do, which was providing care for the strangers. And so fascinating, there was about 250 AD, there was a plague. Did I say that right? With my Wisconsin accent?
No.
Plague.
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 A plague, not a flag.
Plague.
I got a plague flag. The flag's back.
Plague.
Raise the flag. Okay, keep going.
I like it. Keep going. There was a plague.
Hey,
My mouth doesn't make that shape.
plague.
Plague. No?
That's good. It just sounds
Close.
like you're trying really hard.
I am trying as hard as I can. There was a whatever.
It's like when you say vag.
Yeah. There was a pestilence of some sort
That was a good word.
in the Roman Empire. And the Romans believed that it was the Christians' fault because they weren't offering sacrifice to the gods. And so this led to one of the great persecutions of Christians. If they wouldn't offer their pinch of incense to the pagan deities, they were going to be persecuted. So even amidst this persecution, the Bishop Cyprian urged that the Christians provide care even for those who are persecuting the Christians. He said, "There's nothing remarkable in cherishing merely our own people. We should love our enemies as well. The good should be done to all, not merely to the household of faith." And so Mike Aquilina here continues. He said, "Neither the Greeks, nor the Romans, nor the Chaldeans, nor the Egyptians, nor the Babylonians, nor the Assyrians ever produced a hospital. They had the material resources, but they lacked the spiritual resources." Great line.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's really good.
Really, really
That
good.
kind of, I know it's not the same, but it kind of reminds me of, something a few decades ago versus something just recently where someone came into a hospital needing help. And, for instance, Reagan saying, "I hope you're a Republican." And the doctor's like, "Doesn't matter. Today we're all Republicans," when he needed that care in the hospital.
When he was shot.
When he was shot. Like, basically, it doesn't matter if you're aligned with me in these various ways. But then think of more recently with these riots that we've had, not just protests, but protests that have turned into these really awful riots against ICE, where people were going on social media, including, I think, a couple of nurses I remember reading about that got fired, as they should have, for saying that if an ICE agent came into their hospital, they would not treat them, right? And that's the opposite of this message here, that no matter what, you're supposed to be treating people. What do police officers do immediately? They go to the aid of someone that they just were in gunfire with, or something like that was just trying to shoot at them or just trying to stab them. They immediately go to their aid and try to get them help.
Well, and for the sake of the listener who may be thinking this, it's very odd also because those same people, you're like dealing with gunshots of gang members and all this. It's like ICE agents are deporting illegal people. You may not agree with that, but like, sadly, they're not Nazi soldiers. You may think that they are, but they're not. This is actually not that controversial, and if the government says you're here illegally and you're no longer allowed to stay here, like that's very reasonable. Mm-hmm. It's not this horrible. It's not the guy that's like pulling the lever to inject the poison for the death penalty, and you're just adamantly against the death penalty. You're like, I can't take care of you. You're a murderer. It's like these are ICE agents. I just don't understand that.
And kind of related, I've seen this happen a few times on the sidewalk, both in Austin, where I live, over the years, but I've also heard about it from, several of our wonderful leaders, where somebody like cursed out, the volunteers, or they hit a curb and got a flat tire, and then the volunteers immediately went to their aid and said, "Hey, can we help you change your tire?" Like, I would hope that they would do that. If it's safe, obviously, if the person is, feel physically threatened, then
we had an old lady faint one time, and a Planned Parenthood volunteer came over and helped.
Yes. That's what we should be doing.
I was so mad.
that we helped her?
No, that we needed their help.
Oh.
Like it was fresh.
We had somebody
pass out.
I see. And
I was grateful to the Planned Parenthood volunteer. I thanked them profusely.
Yeah.
But they gave me at the end, like, y'all are idiots. Look.
Okay.
And I just had to take it.
Whatever.
I had to take it. I was like, you handled yourself really well. You helped us, so I'm not going to refuse that. I was mad at the old lady for fainting. But
how dare you faint?
Wasn't the line, why don't you do something useful with that sign and fan her off?
Oh, yeah, that one. Okay.
She gave blood that morning. It was 100 degrees. She
Yeah.
gave blood. And again, sweet old lady, I don't know how else to say it, who probably does everything. It's like donates blood, does everything at the church, does 4 Days for Life. And so, but I'm like, don't go dying on me, Bob. Like, you can't come out here. That's from the edge. You can't just show up here and have given blood and be 85.
And yet she did.
Yes, she did. It was a humbling experience for Sean Kearney.
There you go.
Okay. I like that. I want to repeat what you said, though, about, because this is where people think, just making that up, but the early Christian doctors were known because they wouldn't do abortion.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do assisted suicide. They wouldn't do infanticide, which was a thing. And they wouldn't encourage contraception.
I was wondering if you were going to skip over castration of eunuchs. If that was going to be,
the eunuchs, I'm fine. I'm not saying bring it back, but
who are you to judge?
Who am I to judge? Different time period, okay? Sure. They didn't even have like a good sewer system, okay? Maybe they needed to castrate sometime.
Oh.
Okay. The best of other cultures. This is number four, by the way, of what the resurrection did. So what do you mean by that, Steve? The best of other cultures?
Well, the Jewish people were required to separate from the other cultures in the area because there was a fear that they would begin adopting pagan practices. And spoiler alert, they always began adopting pagan practices. Pagan.
What were you gonna say? Pagan?
It was.
Just say it naturally. Don't even look at us.
Pagan cultures.
That's okay.
Okay, yeah, that's
Pagan.
All right.
The way you're saying is how you think he.
We're gonna watch Fargo tonight. After all this. Yeah, Fargo.
I'm gonna have a complex.
And that was your buddy in the wood chipper. I just think of Steve when I see that.
I have to say something.
Do you like that movie? It's
Fargo?
I haven't seen it.
That's not. It's fine to not see Fargo. Fargo's a rough movie.
So it's not in the canon that we were talking about a few weeks ago?
No, Fargo, and I'm interested in some feedback on this. Fargo is a morality tale.
Okay.
A true ethical, there's multiple things going on where you're thinking about the consciences of all these people.
Okay.
Some people are going down the tubes. Others are really heroic. Others are lingering. So it's a really good morality tale. It's a rough movie.
Okay.
It's R, and it deserves to be R. Great 90s movie. Producer John, where are you on Fargo? Like Fargo? What about other 80s products of the 80s, members of the crew? Good on Fargo? Thumbs up? Yeah?
I'm afraid to answer on this now because sometime fairly recently, we talked about the movie Seven. And I think the last time I watched it was probably like 03.
Yeah,
and I was like, Seven was awesome. And we got on a team call and Matt was like, I don't know what's wrong with Steve and Sean, but that movie is messed up and nobody should like it. It was like, it's been a while since I've watched it.
He likes it. He's acting like he doesn't.
Oh.
And also, like when Kevin Spacey goes on his big rant in the back seat, it kind of sounds like something Matt would say. Okay, maybe it's too close to home for him, where he's like, wait a second, I was on the bad guy's side. What's wrong? Those people deserve to die. So maybe that was part of it. But Fargo's not like that. Fargo, Seven, there's like 2 or 3 kind of funny parts that they force, but Seven is an intense, dark movie. That's not what Fargo is.
Okay.
You are going to be rolling.
Like watch it with my wife or not with my wife?
Laura, I don't, where is she? Yeah. Where is she on?
She
What's
gets
it R for?
freaked
Is it
out.
gore?
I'm going to say no on
No?
Laura,
Okay.
but she probably can, but like,
But you'd watch it with Mary Lisa.
yes, Mary Lisa likes it.
All right.
But remember, it's heavy on comedy, and it's in My Cousin Vinny, where you don't really know, are they making more fun of the South or the North? The East Coast to the Southerners, but they're making fun of both. In Fargo, they're both praising the Midwest and making fun of them. And so I get people that are like, I would never watch Fargo. I'm from up there, and we don't sound like that. That's a terrible movie. Chickadee wickers. And so, but then you're sitting there laughing, going, you sound like the people from Fargo. But
Channel.
so it's not a dark comedy, because that's probably too light. I don't know how you would describe it, but you think it's a dark comedy? Okay, it's a dark comedy.
All right.
And Steve Buscemi's in it, and he's gold.
All right.
He's funny.
He's hysterical.
I think I'm boosting this to the top of my list.
They have the thing where everybody's encountered this, where you go and you pay a parking fee, and then you realize you don't need to be there, so you leave and they make you pay. And he's like, no, I just came in. Like, I've been here 30 seconds. And he's got this monologue. You think you're some authority? You're wearing a uniform. Like, it's really funny. But
It's a plane movie.
yeah, you can watch it on a plane.
Okay.
You can watch it. You don't need but it got nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards. It just got swamped in the 90s by the onslaught of just awesome other movies. But
Fargo.
it aged well. When it came out, it was a little like, okay, this is different. But as you get older, I think the problem with Fargo is people take it too seriously. And you're supposed to be laughing a lot.
Okay.
But it is definitely a morality tale about misery and lack of contentment.
So Fargo and Toby Keith aged like fine wine.
And who's the actress? She won the Academy Award for it. Margie? Frances McDormand. Yeah, she won the Academy Award for it. She is fantastic in it, and she's the police chief. So, anyways, and she's pregnant. She's pregnant. That's kind of the hopeful thing. She's the good guy, and she's pregnant. But Fargo, y'all would like it.
All right.
You would definitely like it.
We'll see about Easter season watching Fargo.
Yeah.
Probably more of a Lenten thing, but yeah.
That and Die Hard, both Christmas movies.
Yes.
Yeah. Fargo's definitely not.
Before I failed to pronounce the word pagan. Yeah?
That was good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're saying that Christ's resurrection won for us the best of other cultures. And there was kind of this complete separation of cultures. But now the Lord has prepared his people to go and evangelize the world. And we've gone and evangelized the world. And obviously the paganism needs to be kicked out and they need to be Christianized, but that doesn't mean that every aspect of the culture has to go. And so that's why we see Greek philosophy sort of rebaptized and taken to its fullness, and a lot of different forms of art and music and dance. I mean, even the Aztecs, which is an evil culture, a lot of their aspects of their culture have been able to be sort of redeemed by baptizing them into Christianity. So,
but a lot of this is brought on by the marriage of faith and reason that comes with Christianity.
Yeah.
And that we've talked about that on previous podcasts, of Christ being that gateway from Aristotle to the Jews to the New Covenant, that it all makes sense.
I think this is the true diversity. We don't have to have a diversity of like, well, we need this many people with this skin color and this many people that skin color and this many people who are LGBT, LMNOP. But taking authentic culture and bringing it to its fulfillment in Christ. I think that's a great thing for the world.
And you see a lot of the great stories of Christianity happen in every country.
Yes.
Whether it be martyrdom, whether it be saints, whether it be the church thriving, whether it be, culture or suffering or war, the faith thrives in every part of the world. And frankly, now there's more faith the less you have.
Yeah.
And the longer you've had the faith, the more apathy there is, particularly Western Europe, which has taken their rich Christian history and flushed it down the toilet.
But as a Catholic, there's something like I love to have the opportunity to go on pilgrimage. And I've been blessed to go on a handful of international pilgrimages. And there's just something special where you see the different cultures come together, but all worshiping Christ. So maybe I'm wearing like a tie and jacket, and then the people who have made their pilgrimage from Africa are wearing their traditional garb, and you see this from many different manifestations of that phenomenon. And I think it's a wonderful
And then there's somebody
representation.
inappropriately dressed in a t-shirt and shorts. And then we're not so diverse.
St.
We're
Peter.
irreverent.
St. Peter's Square, you see a lot of that.
Yeah.
When you see the hundreds of clergy from various countries, and you see like the African clergy versus the some of like the more traditional of what we see in America and maybe Western Europe, and various other cultures have their own I don't know, like flavors, but it's very cultural, it's very reverent. It's just cool to see, because we all know that even with all these different cultures and with these different traditions, that there's that common thread of our faith and that Christianity, and there's that common language of the Mass in the case of Catholicism.
It's very good. Okay. Human dignity. Are we there yet, or did I skip anything?
Number
Reunion
5.
and restoration. We didn't talk about that. So this is just the fulfillment of the old covenant.
I meant it in this particular context of we all have this longing for people and memories and places that are no longer here. And it seems like they're gone. The loved ones who have died, grandma, grandpa.
Yeah.
Even stuff that seems completely inconsequential, playing 007 GoldenEye on Friday night in 1998.
Yeah.
That type of thing. And I'm not saying we're going to go to heaven and play GoldenEye. I'm not saying we're not going to go to heaven and play GoldenEye.
That's more important. Yeah.
You know what? They'll probably have to skip all that and straight to the original RBI baseball and Super
Oh my
Tecmo
gosh.
Bowl.
Yeah. But there's certain things that we miss.
Yeah.
But the Lord assures us that none of his gifts are lost. And so while I'm not saying we're going to play video games in heaven, I think there are the things that we have nostalgia for, reminiscing. There's some essence there. And more importantly, the people who we miss. I think that prior to the resurrection, there's not really hope of getting those things back. They're gone. It's over, finished, done. And with the resurrection of Christ, we have that hope of that great reunion.
We all do. Every generation does that, and really, it's a childhood thing mainly of just the smell of your grandmother's pies or whatever. But that nostalgic, you're not worried about stuff. It's a little slice of heaven on earth because it's the innocence of childhood. We're told we have to become like children again in order to enter the kingdom of heaven. So I think that's a really good point that you make of the reunion and the reminder of, before I worried about the electric bill and all these other things, I was just a kid, and you just do things and you trust, and you haven't encountered how bad the world is. And it is a little bit of slice of heaven on earth before you kind of go out into the world. And you have to think that heaven encompasses that, obviously.
Yeah.
And for every generation and we don't know how it works, obviously, but the notion of where you came from, because you would think, let's say we die when we're like 90. Okay, so everybody's gone before us. And you see your parents, you see children if you've lost them, or maybe miscarried children, your grandparents, who were most likely, for most of us, the first people we lost in life, friends that you lost. And I'm always curious, like my great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents, like, are we going to see this long line of, this is how you came into the world. This is how much I loved you. As all of these billion things happened.
Yes.
Some sailor flirted with somebody in Ireland and they got married. And, all those things that happen. That's how people come to live.
Right.
And that's truly a miracle of how you ended up the way you are. And genealogy to me is interesting, and then I just don't care about it. I kind of think about it, and then I move on. And I know that my grandmother was the president of the genealogy club, and so she'd be like, and you'll never believe what Uncle Kevin did in 1822. And you're like, okay, it's too intense. But
too much.
Right. But there has to be a fulfillment of that.
There's this Dane Cook bit. Not necessarily
Is he a
recommending
comedian?
him. He's a comedian.
What are you talking about? You're not
pretty
recommending?
raunchy.
I just recommended Fargo.
Pretty raunchy.
Wait till you watch it.
I'm just saying, but there's this one part, he has his moments, right, where he's confronted by a guy who's an atheist, and he's like, what do you believe is going to happen when you die? And he's like, oh, I'll tell you what's going to happen. And this guy's a fallen away Catholic, and he likes to talk about that and joke about it. But he's like, I'll tell you what's going to die. He's like, I'm going to get to heaven, and all my relatives are going to be lined up like at the airport, and they're all going to be waiting for me, and they're going to wave, and they're going to be like, guess who's dead, sucker? And then and he's like, and then we're all gonna live happily ever after in heaven or whatever. And I can't help but think of that sometimes.
Can't think of it. Yeah.
And then there's the whole when you spot Adam and Eve in heaven for the first time, give them a glare, stare at them, this is all your fault. We wouldn't have to go through all that down there.
That's right.
For you. But in all seriousness, I was at a family reunion recently. And I was really struck. I stopped in my tracks and just stared for a bit because one of my distant cousins found a VHS of one of our reunions from the 90s. And all it was just videotaping everybody at the reunion with their camcorder. And my grandma was in it.
Isn't that strange?
And my grandma passed away in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
When I was really young, and I miss her so much. And she is one of the first people that I lost, and I was very close to her. I've never seen a video of her.
Oh.
I've only ever seen photos. And so seeing a video of her.
Yeah. You have your memories and you have photos.
Yeah. And that was just it was, I don't know if surreal is the right word. It was weird. And then as we watched, a whole bunch of us, the crowd just kept gathering by this big screen. We were watching it. We're pointing out all these people. Oh, look how young we look, all that. But there were so many people in there that we've lost since then that have passed on. And but seeing my grandmother, I was like, I've never seen a video of her. We didn't have. Not too many of us had camcorders walking around and videoing, and now we have endless videos. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Of our kids and family and all that, and I love that. But that I don't know. It was just it's not like I see a picture of my grandma every day, So it was crazy. But I think and I was talking about actually that same day, later that night, I was with a friend who just this couple just recently lost their little boy. And we were talking about it, and I think the thing that you think is, oh my gosh, you have to wait so many more years before you're going to see your loved one again. But you have that hope because every day is a day closer that you get to seeing them.
Yeah, and that's it puts death in perspective. That the saints looked forward to it; they weren't suicidal.
Yeah,
But
it was a healthy way.
It was this healthy it was your sort of next birth.
Yeah.
You know, and you look forward to it, and there is no more suffering, and there are no more tears, and the worst thing about death is being unprepared. I mean, that's the ultimate tragedy.
Yeah.
But if you're prepared, then it is a very sort of longing thing. And I think this is why we get old and we fall apart. It's a natural good.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the end is not the, worst thing. And I think the old people who worship the young, and I get it, like making jokes but like, man, to be 22 again. And I don't want to be 22 again. And I know I'm 43, but.
Yeah, a lot of them don't have problem dating 22-year-olds.
I know, that's that's our society. The anti-aging medicine. But yeah, I just think that there's this natural progression when there's a piece of it's my time. And my pawpaw had that and my granny had it. I remember my granny saying, I just wish she would take me. Like, I'm ready. Like, she said it like she's like, I'm ready for dinner. But,
Yeah.
Even to be young again is part of this. You want that restoration of that which has been lost as a result of original sin, right? And I think it's kind of fascinating. The word nostalgia, like we use it a lot, right? Like, oh, the boomers are nostalgic for the Beatles, and like we can pick on them for that, and they're going to then rightly be like, how often do we talk about how great the 90s were? All the time, right?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, no. This is actually a big compliment to the boomers. Yeah. I think that they do this better than any generation. I think they do it too much. But the reason I have more compassion on them than I used to is because they actually grew up in a completely different country. And the 50s were real and the 60s were real, where you did ride your bike and there was no TV or internet and life was simpler. And of course we look back and we're like, y'all had segregated schools, you were a bunch of racists, and that was bad. But that also, they kind of knew that went on, but there was no 24-hour news cycle.
Right.
They just weren't inundated with stuff, and they did have a little bit of a bubble, which was healthy. And that got blown to pieces by partially their fault, but also not their fault. But when you start looking at the trifecta of Kennedy assassination, Bobby Kennedy, MLK getting killed, Vietnam, the whole LBJ,
Even
just
Watergate,
just the upheaval of, oh, we were like the heroes of the world because we killed Hitler. And now we don't trust the government at all, a bunch of liars. So I understand that. I have more compassion on the baby boomers, but I think that they didn't help the situation as they became adults. And then when they got older, they really did. There were a lot of reverts, and then they gave us, iPhones and cool stuff. But
just to wrap up the nostalgia is a word. It's the Greek root of it is nostos, which is about the hero returning home. And we can't go back, but it's a reminder of what is our home.
Yeah. You're saying that our home is the 90s. Steroid era, Terminator 2,
Heaven,
Jurassic
also
Park.
the 90s.
Right.
Jurassic Park.
And we said this, and you were like, that's true. You looked at me like I said this profound thing.
You're not wrong.
We had everything was awesome and perfect in the 90s except the presidency. That was Clinton was the only thing where, and by the way, looking back economically, despite what Karl Rove says, when you look back, Clinton was a pretty moderate president compared to what we have, recently. But it's just kind of funny. Looking back, everything was perfect except the president.
Everything, Sean. Nothing was wrong with the 90s. Nothing at all.
Well, the church was in bad shape.
The church, LA riots, all the other.
Great papacy era.
Yes.
Yeah. Cowboys.
Oh,
phenomenal.
gosh. Yeah.
It's great. There were 9 teams in the NFC that could have easily won the Super Bowl in any other era.
None of them in the AFC.
Right. Except I would say those 92 Oilers were awesome. And then the Bills came back on them. I think they would have given the Cowboys problems with their offense. Are you very familiar with them?
Warren Moon and the run and shoot offense.
Yeah. They were actually really.
This is why you one time tried to tell me Warren Moon was better than Aaron Rodgers.
That was, boy, you looked at me like, I don't even know who you are anymore. I was trying to get him roused up at dinner one time.
It worked.
It did. It did. Boy, he got all fired up, man. Yeah, I rattled Steve's cage. Okay,
We got to close this out.
We got to close this out.
6, 7, and 8, Sean.
6, 7, and 8. We have that. Up 6, 7.
No,
Oh, come on.
Oh,
you need a
children.
5th grader.
Yeah.
You got to get into the 6, 7 thing.
Ugh.
The dumbest thing ever. Which
Yes,
makes
it is.
Great. All right. Human dignity. Prior to Jesus, the world operated by might makes right. Thank you, Machiavelli. And just the whole notion that you would turn the other cheek, feed the poor,
Yeah.
all of that. Women's rights, contrary to popular opinion, being pro-life advances women's interests. Women made up the majority of the early converts. And you look at our Lord's relationship with women, Mary Magdalene,
Countercultural.
certainly Our Lady.
And yet appropriate.
He forgives a prostitute and props her up.
Yeah.
It's just speaking of, boy, The Chosen did a phenomenal job. She's one of the best ones in that for sure. Okay, here's an example. An ancient letter from a husband to his wife says, if you happen to be pregnant again, if it is a boy, leave it. If it is a girl, throw it out.
Yeah, girls had no economic value. We continue to see
This is
this
just
in-
early China.
Yeah. This is right now China, right now various Eastern societies.
And India, yeah.
Yeah. And these abuses were simply out of the question under Christianity. The ancient world, you'd see babies left to exposure. You would see women were stoned for adultery or killed for adultery in some societies, but the men, it was allowed.
Men
The men could abandon the
just
women,
got away with it.
divorce them. And then you get Christianity, which says, no, you can't do any of these abuses of women. You're going to provide for the widows. You're going to adopt and raise the children who are left to exposure. And the early church was actually ridiculed for being too kind to women.
Yeah. No, it is. The evil church that hates women was not only propped a woman up more than any other institution in the Virgin Mary, but also treated women better.
Yep.
So I'm starting to think if the opposite of what we're told is true.
I think you might be right.
All right, the last thing, number 8, the feast.
Go back to food for our Easter week podcast.
Bring it full circle.
Yeah.
Pagan.
But it's true. Pagan.
You got him.
Pagano.
Pagano. Pecan. Pecan. You say pecan?
Pecan.
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 Yeah.
It's pecan. Pecan pie. You say pecan. I think Matt says pecan. What do you say?
I say pecan.
Yeah, you're normal. Okay, for the most part. All
We
right.
would have debauchery and revelry, but we actually baptize that too, right? We have a feast. It's not going to be debauchery. It's not going to be revelry. It's not going to be New Orleans.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's a great book that I read on kind of the downfall of England. It was by a Brit reporter. It was really good, called The English. And one of the criticisms was the English just drink for the sake of drinking. Their drinking has no point. It was interesting.
Chesterton had a similar thing. Drink
Yeah.
when you're happy, not when you're sad.
Right. But even in that, there was like, this guy's going a level below that and saying they're not even sad.
Yeah.
They're just like coasting.
Whatever. They're bored.
It's pointless drinking. Like
And
what
now
else?
they won't even drink. Now it's all smoking
Now it's all smoke.
by yourself.
Or going out with friends and giving the appearance that you're drinking, but it's 0% alcohol instead of just saying I don't drink or whatever. So anyways, I think that we still have, basically the pagans, it meant just flying off the handle.
Yeah.
Like there was no holy concept of a party.
Bacchanalia.
Sure.
Or the Wendy's promotion, Baconalia.
Yes, exactly. And, and the Jews definitely knew how to party. Their weddings the last 2 weeks. But yeah, this was definitely became an issue and ended up dictating a lot of the Roman calendar because you'd have huge Christian feast days. Once Constantine legalized Christianity, and it would dictate like partying and time off and the economy and all of those things. A little unfortunate shout out to Henry VIII. One of his motivations of killing all the monks and throwing Catholicism out of his country is he sold it to the aristocrats by saying once they got rid of most of the feast days, they wouldn't have as much time off and the economy would boom because they would be taking fewer days off of the work year, which, if I'm fair as an inner capitalist, I'm like, pretty good point. But
Also the point of one Ebenezer Scrooge.
yes, it was on Ebenezer Scrooge. But I'm sure Henry VIII, not only he just wanted to get divorced and move on with his life and his adultery, but
So British.
he's also looking around going, okay, like what are they doing now in the streets? Feast of St. Francis de Sales. Okay, we got to take a whole day off for that.
Is that even a real person?
Is that even a real person? Yeah. So I see how, Corpus Christi, of course that came later, but
But the French and the Italians kept their Catholicism and maintained their work. Oh, shoot.
Italians.
Italians, their pasta. But yeah, no, it was just funny. It's an interesting point that he made.
Yeah.
But it also shows how we got here, which is these feast days. And of course, Lent meant basically bread and water. I mean, they were actually fasting for 40 straight days. And so you feast when you feast and you fast when you fast. But
I like this Chesterton quote. The pint, the pipe, and the cross can all fit together.
and I may or may not have a beer mug with a monk on it with that quote
Excellent.
in my freezer.
That makes sense.
And that may or may not have been a gift from my dear mother on my 40th birthday party.
Excellent. Excellent.
I knew you would like the follow-up.
It's great because you can see celebration not as just that revelry that we talked about, but as an anticipation of the joys of heaven and a celebration of the good Lord above. And
What is this?
I saw a tweet. I just love this tweet.
This is how we're closing.
Ghost.
you want me to
This
close?
is for John the Baptist. Producer John, you're gonna love this.
I don't know who this is from. This is some tweet. Quote, I love Catholics because they smoke and drink, but in an existential and God-fearing way. And I feel that. I relate to that.
See, this is why we have so many wonderful Protestants involved in 40 Days for Life, because I think that they share this sentiment and they're like, the Catholics kind of drive me crazy, but they're not so bad. They're not so bad, and this is evidence of that. So, okay, those are some 8 of the many victories that we get for the resurrection. We hope that you are enjoying your Easter season. We want you to join us a week from when this podcast comes out on April the 14th. We will have our campaign webcast. We'll give you all the results of the campaign and also give you some insight into the landscape of the current pro-life movement and abortion and where we stand, where we don't stand. We'll also give you an update on Planned Parenthood. Ramona Trevino will be on that, former Planned Parenthood manager. Dr. Haywood Robinson will be on that. So please be sure to mark your calendars, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, April the 14th. So as you're up frantically finishing your taxes at the last minute, you can watch our webcast and we will cheer you up. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Heather. Happy Easter, and we will see you next time. God bless you.